I'm Joseph,
And I'm Nick.
and this is Fish Jelly.
C'est bon, c'est bon.
Welcome back.
Merci beaucoup.
You've been in Italy
Yes.
at the Venice Film Festival. So last week I had to record by myself.
Oh, and I'm sure it was just fine.
Oh, well, you may never know.
When I'm not covering something and I have time, I will listen.
Sure. But this will be kind of free form because I don't have any notes. I just assumed we would talk about Venice.
Oh, yes.
We're not caught up on Drag Race Holland.
No.
So we'll have 3 episodes by next week.
Oh, my God.
We need to watch.
Oh, there's so much.
But they go by quickly.
Yeah, but I'm coming back to immediately start watching screeners to cover Toronto digitally.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't think I watched anything this past week.
Well, I hope you enjoyed your break because there's a lot to watch.
Great. I love that so much. I did start The Phantom with Billy Zane.
Which, I've never seen that.
And I only watched the first 20 minutes and then had to stop because I was sleepy. But Billy Zane is very attractive.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't realize... My only reference for him is in Poetic Justice.
Not Titanic?
Until you just said it, I wouldn't have been able to say he's in Titanic.
In Titanic, he's with Lori Petty in the very beginning of the film at the drive-thru movie they're watching.
Titanic's not my type of movie, I've seen it like 8 times, and I still couldn't have told you he's in it. No, he's in the opening of Poetic Justice in that film. It's a film within a film.
Right.
And also Lori Petty.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Titanic.
No, Lori Petty is not in Titanic.
Oh, see, I didn't know that either.
Girl.
I don't like that movie, per se. Although
Lori Petty is not.
What are you saying about Lori Petty? She's not a quality enough actor to be in Titanic?
Well.
We got to watch the Titanic while sitting in front of the Queen Mary.
We sure did, yeah.
That was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
And I'm not saying Titanic is my kind of film either, but yes, Billy Zane is attractive. And the film that I think that you should see, which to me is the pinnacle of Billy Zane attractiveness, is Sally Potter's Orlando, starring Tilda Swinton, from 1991, which is based on, I think it's, I'd say it's my favorite novel by Virginia Woolf.
What is the movie I watched? It's from the 80s or maybe early 90s, and it's about this couple on a ship or like a boat out in the middle of the ocean, and they get hijacked by this man.
Oh, Dead Calm. That's Billy Zane as well.
Okay, yes.
With Nicole Kidman and
Nicole
Samuel.
Kidman, yes. So I remember him from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks good in The Phantom. So we need to watch that movie.
Okay.
I only got like 20 minutes in.
I would love for you to watch Orlando. It's so good. Tilda Swinton is so good.
When I'm not doing other things and I have time, I will do that. But I did want to mention season 4 of Family Reunion is on Netflix.
Yes, starring the great Loretta Devine.
Yeah, highlight of the show is Loretta Devine. She's the Madeir. But I really ended up liking this show a lot. But I wanted to call out 2 episodes from season 4 that I was really impressed by. The one is Maz, who's like the patriarch. He has a cousin who is raised like as a brother to him. Mm-hmm. We find out that he is a successful music producer, but he has somewhat distanced himself from the family. However, Tia Mowry's character Coco is throwing a musical theater production and wants him to join her to sort of add clout to the project. So everyone's excited about it. When this character shows up with his business partner, it's immediately clear he's gay. And potentially that's the reason why he has distanced himself. But the family's very kind to him. When all of a sudden the youngest daughter, she asks the 2 of them, so how long have you been dating? And he says, oh, we're not dating, we're engaged. And everyone's very excited and congratulatory, except Grandpa, played by Richard Roundtree. He essentially says, I don't believe in it, it's a sin, I'm not going to accept it, and walks out. Mm-hmm. And the family's response for the remainder of the episode is really this conversation about homophobia and acceptance. And I was very moved and very impressed that a show that is, I guess I could go on and on about it, but I just think for a community that I think often gets labeled as not the most accepting, I think this episode really showed what I want to believe is
Possible.
what's possible and what the truth is.
Right.
And I also think too, like, I often think like what would save the world is like black women. I feel like black women could save the world, because I think like if you like the strength and the understanding and the compassion and even like looking at
Resiliency.
well, but like even if we take like a little sample of like in hip hop and like females in hip hop and how they've sort of ushered in this new sort of understanding of LGBTQ plus rights and visibility. Like, I really do think that there's a lot of power there and a lot of opportunity. So I think that this episode really showed what's possible. And Loretta Devine's character explaining to her husband, who's the one with the issue, why he's wrong, I thought was a very moving point of the episode. And then the next episode, the oldest daughter, Jade, she wants to be, all of the kids say they want to be adults. So this episode is sort of a take on that Cosby Show episode where Theo is made to be an adult and has to pay all these bills, combined with the Wizard of Oz. And there's a point in the episode where Jade gets into like a fight with the Bad Witch, and she thinks like, oh, we're going to like fist fight. And they say, oh no, around here we don't fight. We settle disputes by voguing. So they have like a Vogue ball. So you have all these sissies voguing, which I thought was really cool. So I thought that was great. But there's a point in the episode where one of the gentlemen in the ball says something kind of sexual, and Loretta Devine's character is playing like Glenda the Good Witch, basically. And she says something to the effect of like, this is a ball, not grinder. So stop that. And I just thought, wow, to hear Loretta Devine reference Grinder just was really cool. Yeah. So I really appreciate this show and like a lot of the themes. It's not as hard hitting as it could be. It hasn't tackled yet, more. It has tackled like police brutality and racism, but I think, there are obviously other things like drugs and sexual assault and teen pregnancy. There are a lot of things it still has time to cover, but so far I'm very impressed with the show. Moving on, I'm debating if I want to talk about the thing I talked to you about.
Maybe we should try that last.
Should I try that last?
Let's do that last.
Okay, we'll do that last. So then I guess what's next are notable deaths.
Notable deaths. The obituary page. Well, so I think they both died on the same day. But the one I heard about first was Michael K. Williams.
Okay.
Who, yes, is probably best known for The Wire, which I've only watched one episode of and we haven't watched. But, in hundreds of other parts across television and film, Boardwalk Empire, and, died of a heroin overdose. And he's always been very open about his drug issues and is somebody that I've always liked seeing on screen. I think he's a fantastic character, was a fantastic character actor. So that was a bummer to learn about. But besides The Wire, I wanted to highlight just like 5 appearances across his filmography that I like.
Go for it.
Time Out of Mind. It's a 2014 Oren Moverman film. Richard Gere's the lead, but that definitely is a film worth checking out. Antoine Fuqua's Brooklyn's Finest, which I know you've seen. Great soundtrack to that. Richard Gere's also in that, and Wesley Snipes' Snitch. I know it's a Rick Romanois film starring Dwayne Johnson. That looks like something you could just kind of bypass altogether, but that Snitch is actually kind of an entertaining B film. Bessie, which you have seen with Queen Latifah, directed by Dee Reese. He plays her male lover in that. And then a film that was so totally surprising to me, a supporting role he does is I believe, a character named Sweet Pea in a film called 999 from John Hillcoat a few years ago that is definitely worth checking out.
Wow. Yeah, well.
So, yeah. And then the other major death, which was probably more talked about where I was on the Lido, Jean-Paul Belmondo, the kind of the face of the Nouvelle Vague, which I'm assuming you're not familiar with him at all.
No.
Okay. Well, he was in Godard's Breathless and in a legion of films after that. He hasn't been in a film since 2008. Passed away. But in the 60s and 70s, especially, like a lot of fantastic films. Five I wanted to highlight from him. The Man from Rio, a Philip de Broca film, which there's a sequel. I believe Catherine Deneuve's sister is in one or both of those. A Double Tour, kind of a B-side Claude Chabrol film from the late 50s. The fantastic Leon Morin Priest from Jean-Paul Melville. He worked with Melville a few times, but Leon Morin Priest, excellent, especially if you're a fan of Schrader's First Reformed. That is, I think, kind of a film he's touching on besides Bergman's Winterlight. Mississippi Mermaid, a Francois Truffaut film where Deneuve is a mail-order bride, is worth a look. Late 1969. That film was made as Original Sin with Antonio Banderas and Angelina Jolie, I believe, in the late 90s. And then Pierrot Le Fou, probably my favorite Godard film, with Belmondo and Anna Karina. But yeah, so two kind of very different actors that left very different kinds of legacies, but, we're sad to hear about both.
Indeed. All right. Well, you have plenty of time to talk about Venice.
Venice. It was my first time. I stayed on the mainland, so I had to go back and forth via boat every day. And we talked about this. We had one
Zoom call.
So So what do you want me to do? Start with my top 10 favorites, or the awards, or
Whatever feels right to you.
Well, I guess we could comment on the awards first. The film that won the Golden Lion was Audrey Diwan's Happening, which is a very well done abortion drama. It's her second film. Great lead performance of an actress. I think I had predicted that this would win Best Actress and maybe not the Golden Lion, but I'm not mad at that. Best Actress went to Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, the Almodovar film that opened the film festival, which was I enjoyed well enough. I think it's Almodovar's best film, I think, as I said before, since The Skin I Live In. But I really wanted Penelope Cruz to win Best Actress for another film in competition called Official Competition. And then Best Actor went to the guy from On the Job 2, which was a film that I kind of lost my patience with, but was interesting. Second place prize, the Grand Jury Prize, went to Paolo Sorrentino's The Hand of God. Also a film that had parts I liked in it, but overall was not a film I loved. The Italian press went crazy for all of the Italian films, of course, in competition. If you looked at any of the grids from there, it just... yeah. My mind is blanking on what else won. Il Buco won a special jury prize, which is an interesting film, but I was very tired when I saw. Best screenplay went to Maggie Gyllenhaal for The Lost Daughter, which didn't make it in my top 10, but was a film I really liked. Love the film it's based on, or the book it's based on, by Elena Ferrante as well. My top 10. I really liked a film called The Hole in the Fence by Joaquin Del Paso. It's a Mexican-Polish co-production. Kind of Lord of the Flies, Picnic at Hanging Rock vibes, about these kind of Polish men in Mexico that have created this little religious cult where it's a school, but it plays like a cult, like all religions to me, where they have all these young boys doing this ritual. There are things going on in the nearby town. There's like unrest and people being murdered, it sounds like, but they're still going on with their little religious retreat, and all the boys pick on the scholarship boy, who's an indigenous young man. There's a queer component to it as well with one of the little boys. Very dark and disturbing. I enjoyed it. Madeline Collins by Antoine Baraud, probably butchering his last name, starring Virginia Fira. It was in Venice Days, and a really interesting film about a woman's identity, dealing with some ongoing family trauma that takes you a lot of time to orient yourself in a way to figure out how all these relationships work and what the upset is about. Jacqueline Bisset is her mother. That I thought was an enjoyable film experience. The Power of the Dog, directed by Jane Campion, who won Best Director. I think everybody had this pegged as winning potentially the Golden Lion, which means Campion would be one of the very few to win the Lion and the Palme d'Or, but she didn't. She won Best Director. Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons. I think I mentioned this in our Zoom call, but yes, excellent dark little film with also some queer elements. Captain Volkonogov Escaped, directed by Alexei Chupov and Natasha Merkulova, a Russian film that is set in 1938, but I think, like their last film, The Man Who Surprised Everyone, I almost can't believe this got made in Russia. So critical it is of the regime, the historical regime, because most of these things feel like they're covered up by propaganda. But it's kind of a surreal fable where this national security guard goes on the run, and he's basically being chased about Leningrad for the entire day. But his best friend, who has been tortured to death because he has tried to flee, visits him as a corpse, kind of like an American Werewolf in London, and says, "We're all going to hell. If you can't find atonement and get somebody to forgive you for your sins, you're going to go to hell too." So he has stolen a file of all the people he's helped torture and kill, and he goes around the city telling these people who think that their relatives are still alive that I helped, kill this person. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And of course, no one is like,
no,
hell
girl.
no, Flair. And like all of the fables like that, like Beauty and the Beast, or somebody that's cursed to find unconditional love or forgiveness. The moral of these stories is usually it has to come from within yourself to realize that you were deserving of it or not. But notably, it stars this. I guess I'd call him the poster boy of Russian art house film. I think he's in 5 or 6 films this year across Cannes, Locarno, and Venice. Yuri Borisov, who I really like. He's the lead, and I'll talk about him again in a second. But in Cannes he was in Petrov's Flu and a film I really like called Compartment Number 6. But yeah, really like that. Didn't win anything. Next, Promises, which I've already talked about a little bit before, so I'll be brief. With Isabelle Huppert, it opened the Orizzonti section. You watched, it was playing in the background for you as a mayor making promises that I really liked.
Does she end up getting kicked out?
She does end up not running again, yeah. But the sacrifice she makes ensures, better things for other people. Reflection. I think it's the 3rd film from Valentin Vasyanovich, Ukrainian filmmaker. Venice is considered a film festival, a politeness kind of like Toronto, and this film got booed at the screening I was at. And it is a difficult film, and dare I say, in the first third, kind of torture porn. Basically, it's set in November of 2014, and it is about the ongoing war in Ukraine, where Ukrainian soldiers still have to fight the Russian-backed separatists. Very heavy, hard-hitting film, filled with lots of visual, symbolic motifs about mirror images and reflections, and kind of a microcosm of what's going on, told through this surgeon who decides to volunteer for the front lines and then gets abducted, and a microcosm of kind of PTSD for both him and kind of the Ukraine at large. And I really liked it, but I could tell that the press audience I saw it with was very unhappy with it. Next is kind of the only bright spot in the film festival. This was a film festival that there was themes of mass graves, political corruption, kind of biased press throughout across cultures, throughout history. It was a very dark film festival. But this was a bright spot that I found so excellent, and I think that you would love it. It's called Official Competition, directed by Mariano Cohn and Gaston Puplov. I think I wrote down his last name. Gaston Duprat. They're Argentinian. Starring Penelope Cruz, and this is the film I wish she had won Best Actress for, and Antonio Banderas and Oscar Martinez. It's about a wealthy businessman who filthy rich but has not left a legacy. So he's like, I want to make something lasting. I want to produce a film. So he pays for the rights to this new popular novel called Rivalry, and he hires this notable art house director played by Penelope Cruz, who's kind of, I think they're trying to do a parody on kind of Lucretia Martel. She's beautiful, and she's kind of this finicky lesbian, and she hires these two actors that are both from completely opposite spectrums, like a theater actor played by Oscar Martinez, and then this celebrity played by Antonio Banderas, and that is basically just them going through 9 rehearsals and her kind of putting them through hell and them hating each other. And it's very on a much lower scale than this, but you're a big fan of Bullets Over Broadway. Mm-hmm. So it has kind of these weird energies, and it's very funny. It was just completely unexpected with all the darkness. Next, I have Mama, I'm Home. It's a Russian film, sophomore film from Vladimir Bitakov, directed, of course, by the very notable Russian producer Alexander Rodnyansky. And this I just saw on a whim because I saw Rodnyansky, and it's starring Xenia Rappaport, a Russian actress I haven't watched in anything in quite a while, and also starring Yuri Borisov. And again, this deep state corruption, this mother she's informed her son has died in Syria, but he's not really fighting for the Russian army. He had asthma, so he's fighting for a private company in Russia, protecting Russian interests, but technically that's illegal. But his sister had received a text message from 2 days after they said the Russians say he died. So she doesn't believe it. So she's like railing against the system, causing trouble for everyone, kind of this just over-the-top, rugged Russian woman. And finally, this man shows up saying like, "Hey, Mom, I'm home." And it's clearly not her son, and it's Yuri Borisov. And he's like, and she's like, "You're not my kid, get out." It's like, "Nope, I'm living here." And then kind of dealing with that. But she's such this very strong-willed woman that he kind of comes to respect and like her. And he ends up helping her in all the other various things going on in this film. But I really enjoyed it. And now it's part of the Horizonte Extra film section, so it's not even in the official Horizons, but whatever. Next, I had Lost Illusions by Xavier Giannoli. I'm just kind of surprised this didn't win either. A very handsome, well-made period piece, but it's far from a stuffy costume drama. It's based on the 1843 serial novel by Honoré de Balzac, kind of about the corruption of the press, the news media. I thought was fascinating. And Xavier Dolan is in it, and he's narrating it throughout, which is pertinent to how Giannoli constructs the plot. But I think it allows it to keep the wit of Balzac, because Balzac's prose is phenomenal. Anyway, definitely hope that gets more attention. And then The Card Counter by Paul Schrader, with Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish and Willem Dafoe and Ty Sheridan.
People like that movie.
Yeah, I did. So
right,
and that's also dealing with significant trauma, because Oscar Isaac is this person who was recently released after like 8 or 9 years in Leavenworth for convicted of his active behavior in Abu Ghraib, and kind of tries to lose himself in this gambling world and this gambling circuit, but trying to move forward to the future, but can't kind of let go of the past still because of this trauma. That's a film lover's kind of film. I think like all of Paul Schrader's films are. So yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. So yeah, there's that. Disappointments. Do you want me to talk about my major disappointments?
Yeah.
Well,
me.
No, girl. Stop that. I think the thing I was most disappointed in was Halloween Kills. Yeah, I really didn't like it. The dial. If you could have a drinking game for every time you hear Boogeyman. Evil dies tonight is the refrain that's going on in there, because they try to. I remember back when this was filming with Halloween Dies. because they film back to back, and next year Halloween ends. Sorry, will be the last chapter. It's like every time they say this in the film, it's like, well, we know it's not going to die tonight.
I was gonna say that, yeah, because I was reading about it, and it's just like, when you're gonna split something up like this, and we all know that there's a second part, I don't know.
Why didn't she
go ahead?
I feel like David Gordon Green should have taken the time to try to do something really different, because in Halloween 2018 they get rid of the idea that Laurie Strode is his sister and blah blah blah, and they do try to explain maybe why he is what he is and what he does in this, but it's still very ambiguous.
Like they try to explain like him as like
how he can't die, kind of.
And what is their explanation?
They don't really have one. Just that there's a hypothesis that maybe he gets stronger every time he kills, and that like he's a demon. But
do we learn anything new about Michael Myers?
Not definitively, no. Oh. So, and then I think,
how does he look?
There's several. His mask gets pulled off twice, but the camera doesn't show it. Once by Kyle Richards, who they bring back, and the nurse that survived from the original, and somebody. Then there's another law enforcement officer that's still there. Kyle Richards pulls off his mask, and then she's like, "I saw his face." It's like, girl, who cares? It doesn't matter. Is that going to stop him? Like, And then Jamie Lee, who I like, is chewing the scenery, and it's almost like she has to, because they put her on such a back burner. There's this like errant vial of morphine lying in her room, and she takes it and stabs it in her butt, because she got stabbed and they have to do surgery on her in the beginning of this, because it starts immediately where the other one left off. And
I don't even remember.
It's kind of like the original Halloween 2 in 81 or whatever, which picks off immediately in the hospital. But I remember when they were doing press for when these films were being made, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to speak to the moment, like Black Lives Matter, blah blah blah." It is saying something about how fear turns us into monsters, into like a mob scene. But oh god, Anthony Michael Hall seems like he gets the most screen time. The dialogue is terrible. I just didn't enjoy any of it. I feel like it spins its wheels, wastes its time for us to be like, okay, so now we got to wait another year to see how who's are going to end all this. And
and of all the major horror franchises, this one was always the least interesting to me.
I don't know. I liked the 2018 reboot because I thought they gave Laurie Strode, like, it has a lot to say about mental health trauma in this woman and how she's processed it. Like, to me, I really liked that direction for her. And this one, I think it's trying to be more about, I guess, Michael, but still not about Michael. I don't know. I thought it was frustrating. So that was a big disappointment.
If it's on streaming, I might watch it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch this one when it comes out.
Three of the Italian films in competition, I just frankly couldn't stand. Freaks Out. God, it's kind of like an Italian Nazi era X-Men film.
Oh, that kind of sounds interesting.
It sounds interesting, and it has some like things that seem like, oh, this should feel magical, but I felt absolutely nothing, and I know I'm not dead inside. And it stars Franz Rogowski as the German Nazi that has 6 fingers on each hand that's trying to find this person who has powers like Anna Paquin as Rogue, for the Nazis to use, because he can see into the future, and he knows that Hitler's going to die and lose the war, so this is the only way out. And he sees it. He's a pianist, and he sees into the future, so he plays concerts, like he's playing Radiohead's "Creep" in one scene and "Sweet Child of Mine" in another. And there's another scene with an iPhone. It's like, oh, it's not doing it well enough to work. And then also films that do that, it's like, okay, so his scene to the future must end at 2021 because he can't play anything. Because they're not going to conceive some new pop hit track or something for him to play. Anyway, Mario Martone's The King of Laughter, I was like nails on chalkboard, starring Tony Servillo. I felt like it was Italian families screaming at me for 2 hours. Like, it was just so frustrating.
Grating.
It was so grating. And the Italian press, you could tell at that screening, you would have thought that they'd just seen, I don't know, Citizen Kane for the first time. Also, America Latina, basically about this man that's suffering from hallucinogens, schizophrenia, that has a girl locked in the basement. I thought that was disturbing in a way that was trash. And I was really disappointed in Mona Lisa and the Blood Moon by Anna Lily Amirpour, whose first film, The Girl Walks Home Alone, and I really liked, was very cool on The Bad Batch. Was thinking this would be kind of a bizarre comeback for her. And then the opening credits start and Kate Hudson's name comes up first. And I'm like, ugh. Mm-hmm. You know how I feel about Kate Hudson.
What's the movie with the autistic girl?
What?
Where Kate Hudson has a buzzed head and she's...
Oh, Music.
Music.
Oh,
Music.
Yeah. Where she's Kazoo. Her name is Kazoo.
That's right.
Oh, God, girl. But I really, it felt like a film that had some interest. It felt like a B movie from the 90s, which normally sounds like something that I would love, but said nothing about anything whatsoever. Thought it was kind of corny and smug. I hate precocious children. There is one. Yeah. And then, so here's the funny thing about critics.
Oh, yeah, tell us.
Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. You know, Edgar Wright's got such a fanboy following. All of these critics that were very cool on it, like chattering about it, praised it. Like, it has overwhelming praise, but lots of the people I talked to really were very so-so on it. I was less than so-so on it. I hated it. I thought it was stupid. But despite some great visuals and a well-cut trailer, I think that this faux femininity is... Edgar Wright doesn't know how to do genre, and this is clearly evidence of that. And, okay, the only reason to see it would be to see Diana Rigg, who is now dead, Rita Tushingham, and Terrence Stamp. Because it's kind of an homage to... Visually, it's trying to do giallo things, but not very well, and also trying to conjure up a love of the swinging 60s and maybe get into the underbelly of what was going on at the time as well. But this girl with this undefined gift who can see... just the plot hole mechanism of it is she sees her dead mother, she moves to this fashion school in London. We know that she has some kind of power, not how or why or when. She takes a room that Diana Rigg owns and starts seeing visions of this girl. But then we learn that the girl's not even dead. So why is she seeing this? I think it's a waste of time. And I know that because I already got flack because a couple people were like, oh, I noticed you posted a negative review of Last Night in Soho. Yeah, because that's what I actually think about it. I didn't like it.
I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes page for Halloween Kills, and your quote popped up.
Oh.
If the last installment gave us some thoughtful subtext on grief and trauma, all characters in this sequel across the board feel extremely futile.
Oh, that's like a nicer statement.
Also,
you know what they also do in Halloween Kills? They bring back CGI Donald Pleasance.
Oh.
Like, to say, and I wrote my review, like, let him be.
You know what I also read about Michael K. Williams? Before he started acting, he worked as a temp for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals.
Oh.
But after watching Janet Jackson's, listening to Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation 1814, he decided to pursue a career in entertainment.
Wow.
Anyway, that caught my attention.
He's also in Ava DuVernay's When They See Us.
He's also, his first acting credit is in Madonna's video for Secret.
Oh, wow.
Which is from the Bedtime Stories album. Which is not one of my favorites, but I do like Bedtime Stories.
But, I mean, he's pretty prolific. You know, he's been...
Yeah, his IMDb is very impressive. He stayed working, so it's a shame that he couldn't get that monkey off his back.
What does Halloween Kills have on Rotten Tomatoes?
It's not fresh. It's 56%.
Oh, good. It's nice to feel like I'm part of the... yeah, so that is my the disappointments. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Well,
after we spoke.
Well, so would you go back to Venice?
I would. I guess I'll see how I did miss it. It's very contained, like the festival portion of it on the Lido, and I didn't mind staying on the mainland. you know me, I like to get around quickly and efficiently. I don't want to have to take a boat to get somewhere. I want to be able to walk there quickly or get a car. I don't like being inhibited in that way. And I also didn't like that there wasn't kind of a distinct nightlife. It's very tourist oriented. I mentioned last time there aren't any gay bars. I really miss. Kept thinking I was missing Toronto, which is ongoing right now, and of course that feeling of Berlin of like there are things to go and play. There are, of course, Venice is a beautiful city. There are plenty of things to see, but I'm not a tourist, and I never do tourist things just because that doesn't really interest me. I like more of kind of local flavor, and I think that I would need more years in the city to kind of get a handle on that. But yeah, it was beautiful. I liked it. I would go again. Did I like it more than Berlin or... Well, Cannes is just like work. Berlin or Toronto are more fun.
Okay.
Oh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is worth... Oh, do you want to talk about Ridley Scott's The Last Duel? That was a big deal.
I don't even know what that is. The Last Duel?
Yeah, that with Matt Damon and Adam Driver. Basically a Rashomon-style film about rape.
In 14th century France, Marguerite de Thibouville claims she has been raped by her husband's best friend. Her husband, Knight Jean de Carouges, challenges his friend... Carouge.
Oh my God.
Challenges his friend and squire Jacques Legris to trial by combat. It is the last legally sanctioned duel in France's history. Oh, so this is autobiographical?
Technically, yeah, but they're also speaking English.
This would be more fun if instead of a duel, they did Vogue dancing.
Yeah, that would be more fun, but they don't do that. So it starts out, it tells each three of their own, the truth according to Jean Carouge.
Because the one says he didn't rape her, obviously.
But Matt Damon's hair in that, he has this...
Let me look up a picture.
He has this Sandrine Bonnaire La Cérémonie haircut with the bangs.
You use very fancy language to describe a mullet.
Yeah. No, look up Sandrine Bonnaire's hair in La
He has a mullet.
But the bangs... The bangs kill me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a mullet.
Yeah.
It's a I mean,
well... And Ben Affleck hair...
He's in it?
Yes, he plays his cousin, or he's cousin to the king. It's...
Oh, yeah, he has blonde hair.
Oh, he looks... unnecessary.
He has like a bowl cut.
Yeah. Adam Driver, I think, fares the best in there. And at least nobody's trying accents, but
But they're speaking English.
Yeah, of course. It builds up... It's because it's 2.5 hours... It builds up enough tension to the titular duel where there's tension because she is raped. And if her husband, played by Matt Damon...
So the truth is her husband's best friend did rape her.
Yes, but her husband's no good either.
Adam Driver raped her.
Yes.
Okay.
He's in love with her, but she doesn't really feel the same way. But he waits till she's alone in her home and goes there and rapes her. But it's interesting. There's another... rape procedural that I saw that was really quite good.
Well, wait, who wins the duel?
Carouge.
Who's that?
Matt Damon, her husband.
So does that mean Adam Driver dies?
Yeah, he gets struck.
Oh, so it's like duel to the death.
Yes, and if her husband loses, that means they're lying according to God, and that means she, who is pregnant, would be burned to death.
Damn.
Women's rights. And her husband had to come out and say... It does have establish this really kind of well done jealous rivalry, I think in a rather clunky way. But to be fair, it's probably Ridley Scott's most interesting thing that I've seen in a while. So I didn't hate it. But there was another rape procedural film at the film festival out of competition, directed by Yvonne Attal, based on a very famous French novel, Les Choses Humaines, which means the human things, but the title of the English language is The Accusation. But again, this different perspectives, this girl that, this young woman that says she's been raped, and the young man who believes she didn't rape her, and they come from different worlds, different religions, different cultures. Also starring it's Charlotte Gainsbourg and her husband who directed it, and their son in real life is the lead, and did a really fantastic job of showing, based on both their perspectives. I believed them both. Strangely, I believe how she thinks that she was sexually assaulted. I believe how he thinks that she wasn't, and or that he didn't do that. And how the reality of that kind of comes down in this trial, I think was interesting. But Ridley Scott's film is kind of in an interesting conversation in the same film festival.
Is that all you have for Venice?
That I think that you'd be interested in talking about, yeah. On the way home on the flight, on the way to the film festival, I watched Lethal Weapon, which is trash.
I remember watching it maybe like as soon as it came out on VHS back in the day.
Sure.
But I couldn't tell you. And as I'm thinking about it, is that with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
There's one scene where Danny Glover, there's an explosion or bullets or something, and he like grabs Mel Gibson to get him down. He's like, "What are you, a fag?" Like, no, Jesus. And then I watched National Lampoon's Animal House, which I'd never seen. I guess
With Ryan Reynolds?
National Lampoon's Animal House with John Belushi from 1981.
Isn't Ryan Reynolds in a National Lampoon movie?
Yeah, I'm sure, because they have a bunch of movies.
Oh, well, you said it like, why would Ryan Reynolds be in a National Lampoon
No,
movie?
but Animal House, the kind of that set the precedence for all these college humor films.
Oh, okay.
I sure.
Wait, I think I just watched that like a couple weeks ago. Let me look it up. Anyway, what did you think about it?
I guess not for me. Fine. I think we've seen so many things since then that.
Oh, that's with the toga party.
Yes.
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, I just okay. And then I watched a terrible film. I would love to watch this with you, and we could just heckle it. I want to watch this with people and just eviscerate it. It's called Our Friend with Dakota Johnson and Casey Affleck and. What's his name? Segel?
Jason Segel.
Oh, God. It's very much kind of like that Kevin Hart movie, Fatherhood, where it's like based on it's based on a true story of trauma and cancer and...
Well, be careful. People are affected by cancer. They don't like when you...
No, but trauma doesn't justify hokum. Sorry.
Well.
Anyhow. And then coming back... Rebel Without a Cause was on my flight, and I've never actually sat and watched that from start to finish. And James Dean is transfixing, because I've never seen East of Eden or Giant, because to me that seems like they need to be events. Anyway, I love Nicholas Ray. Johnny Guitar is a masterpiece to me. But Rebel Without a Cause, God, Natalie Wood's character is such a little shit in that. But it's so gay. Sal Mineo as Plato, just you can tell he just wants to get on James Dean. It is, which I already kind of knew that there were queer vibes about that, but he is drinking him up, as you will. But it opens in a police station, and these Sal Mineo's parents, neither of them are around, and the black maid basically has to fend for him, and she comes to pick him up, and she's talking to this cop, and the cop asks Sal Plato, he's like, "So why'd you shoot those puppies?" That's how this guy just shot some puppies. Anyway, so that was actually very enjoyable on the plane. And then I followed it up with the Full Monty, because I've never seen that either. And I have to say that's a very interesting conversation piece about men and machismo and body positivity, but also feels very dated.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, sure. Now, you're just busting to talk about your...
I'm not busting to talk about... Bust it. I do like that song. Well, speaking about body positivity, I had a little incident last week.
An incident.
A
brown mound.
A brown mound. So we reviewed a film called Swan Song.
Yeah, starring Udo Kier.
And we didn't like it.
No.
And there's an actor in it whose name I won't say because I'm not trying to be...
Draghead.
I mean, I am Petty LaBelle, but I'm not. And also, this character, this actor plays the character of a bartender in a gay bar in the movie Swan Song. So, if someone wants to know who I'm talking about, it wouldn't be that hard to look it up. But
Ooh, okay. Let's call, what is it, Maria Bamford. I used to work for a company.
Call it Jiggly Goop
Or let's call him Disney.
or let's just call him Disney.
Yeah.
No, so as I'm often want to do when I'm watching a film, I look up actors, usually on Instagram, especially like if I think their acting's not the best, or they're in like a indie film where it's like clearly you don't make a living doing acting.
So if Joseph is looking you up, it means he thinks you're no good. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, just it's just curious, like
No. I think you look at people when you found something interesting.
yeah, something interesting about them, or like,
Sure.
but also, you know, not being a great actor is interesting to me. That like, you know, you're in a movie and it's like, well, then shit, like I could be an actor, but so look this person up, and that was 2 months ago when we watched the movie.
Sure.
Okay. It's important to know that this actor in the film is like this little twinky white boy.
Okay.
Like a little guy, like probably weighs like 130 pounds or whatever. Okay. I don't know what people weigh. I'm sitting on 200 pounds, so I don't know. But it's important to know that now, like I guess during the quarantine or whatever, this person has gained like twice their body weight. Like he's like twice the person he used to be.
Okay.
So that was interesting when I saw it. Like, oh, holy shit, you know. Then last week, because I had looked this person up, they were on my discovery page.
Okay.
So then their image pops up, and it's like them shirtless with like a message about body, like hashtag body positivity. Mm-hmm. So I liked that picture, and then another picture just like it. And I didn't know that that was the person in the movie. Not initially. I just saw this picture, and then I thought like, oh, that's interesting. But not to try to like soften what I'm about to say, but I do think it's important, like normalizing all body types is very important. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that, I mean, body positivity I agree with, but I think just normalizing all types of bodies.
Sure. And
different colors of bodies and different physical attributes of bodies. And the only way to do that is to show it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's great. You're not gonna catch my fat ass up on the gram like that, but
oh boy.
but that's just me. But I do admire people who do that.
Okay.
For whatever reason, if it's genuine or they just want attention, I don't know. But I do think it's nice to see. So I just like the picture trying to be nice. Did I know in the back of my head that this person was in a movie I said I didn't like? Yes, but that didn't stop me because I think like,
what does it matter?
Yeah, like what does it matter? And I had used the analogy before of like, I don't think McDonald's sells quality cheeseburgers. Like, I don't think their cheeseburgers are great. And for what they cost, there are other fast food options that are better. So the fact that I think McDonald's cheeseburgers aren't great, does that mean that a McDonald's employee should, like, not like me? Like, what do they have to do with... And a supporting actor in a movie that's not that great, it's like, it's not their fault. You know, you sign up for something, and the director, and the budget, and you just do what you have to do. So it's not like... whatever, but I like the two pictures, and then within a few hours I get a disappearing message of a screenshot of this actor having taken a screenshot of me liking, you know how like on Instagram you can see who likes, they had taken a screenshot of that and then said something about me lurking on their page, and how like, you think I don't know that you trashed my movie, I can see you. Essentially, that was it. I can't verify because it was disappearing and I don't know verbatim, but it was something like that. And the main things that bothered me were the word lurking and trashing. So I'm not going to go on a rant about how I'm entitled to my opinion and, you know, whatever. It's not about that. So I'm upset about the word lurking and trashing, and I also want to talk about people not maintaining the same energy. And I think this whole social media thing, because I'm not young, and I feel like it's a younger person's game nowadays to be very like aggressive on social media and very bold.
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to it, they're scared. They turn into little punks because we get a lot of comments on our YouTube channel, and statistically 91% of them are positive, according to the statistics. But we do get a percentage of like 9% not positive. And I almost never respond. But every blue moon I will. If I can, I usually don't respond unless I can think of something clever to say. And I'm not that clever, so I don't always have a response. But when I do respond, people's energy changes. All of a sudden, it's like, oh no, like, I think you guys are great. It's just that, my mom died of cancer, so this is a sensitive topic for me, and blah, blah, blah. And
Sure.
okay. So this person messaged me, and like with this dissipating screenshot, and I immediately had a response. That was not very nice. And then I deleted it and didn't send it because I thought I don't want to be nasty. So I did respond and say, noted. I'll talk about it on the podcast next week if you're interested, since I know you're watching me. And then, of course, the person said, like, no, of course I'm not interested. I'm not trying to antagonize you. I just need you to know that there are real people behind the things that you talk about. I'm not remembering it. I didn't write it down, and it's on my phone, which I don't have access to at the moment. But and then I responded saying, like, I don't think me publicly liking someone's photos is lurking. Like, it's a public Instagram account.
Right.
And my name, like, the person who made this review video, like, that is attached to my profile, liked the photo. So anyone can see that I liked it. That's not lurking. Also, to me, the word lurking is almost like lascivious. Like, I don't want your big ass. Like, I don't know what the implication is, like, me lurking. It's not lurking. Like, your profile is your actor name that's attached to the film you did that I reviewed. So this wasn't me this wasn't catfish level sleuthing to find your profile. And it popped up on my discovery page 2 months after I looked at it initially. So I'm not trying to get at you. I'm not trying to be discreet about it. I was just trying to be nice regarding a message that I did think was important. And maybe trying to be nice because... And I assume that this person didn't watch my review.
Yeah.
I
would assume that most people haven't...
But I don't know. Ryan Reynolds saw our thing and follows us on Instagram, so I don't know. Maybe I should think people are watching. But anyway, so that's that. But I think the lurking thing, don't do that. Don't be sort of like this passive aggressive and make this claim like, and then the follow up was it made me uncomfortable. And that's the other thing that is bothering me. I'm just on a rant right now, but I think it's
Preach.
like, I feel like there's this thing people are doing nowadays where everyone is so bold until it comes down to it. And then they cower, and then they want to stand behind like, well, I'm triggered, and, I'm uncomfortable, and girl, bye.
If you're uncomfortable by anyone, why don't have a public Instagram profile.
Right. Don't be a public figure. Don't post a bunch of shit publicly. Like, if you're going to be that thin-skinned. And also, if you watch the review of the movie Swan Song, that's the other part.
Trashing.
To me, trashing is like, this is shit, don't watch it, it's crap, it's stupid, I'm done. No. We spent 26 minutes explaining the film, the parts of the story that didn't work for us, the things that we thought could have been better, what we did like. I think we took a lot more time than that film deserved talking about it, because we do think that we did think the essence of the story is one that needs to be told.
Right.
And you do like Udo Kier.
I love Udo Kier.
And
yes.
I love gay shit, but it's like, I'm not gonna, just because something's gay or black, I'm just not gonna like mince my words.
Yeah,
like,
anytime that I criticize something, the most vitriol I've received personally is from white gay men that didn't appreciate me giving some kind of gay film, usually about white ones, a negative review. And it's like, well, at the end of the day, whether I'm trashing it, whether I'm disrespectful, I'm never trying to be disrespectful. Can I learn from being critiqued myself? Yes. But at the end of the day, it is my opinion.
Right. So just to wrap it up.
And do you want me to be authentic or not? Do you want me to be out here on some fake shit like everybody else? I'm not out here to be hyperbolic and give you praise just because you created something. I'm here to to suss out what works and what doesn't. There's nothing that's perfect.
And the reality is, like, who cares what I think?
Also
who cares
that.
what I
also
think?
that.
I'm just giving my opinion because why not? Because other people are allowed to give their opinion, right? Straight white guys are allowed to talk ad nauseum
Right.
about everything under the sun, things that they don't understand, that they don't care about, and they're allowed to just shit on it, and that's acceptable,
Right.
Because, I don't know who else reviewed Swan Song, but I'm sure I'm not the only person who has something to say about it. But again, to recap, lurking to me does not work. Like, that's not the word to use. And if I want like an unsuccessful fat white boy, I could find one in LA very easily. I don't need to search Instagram for that. Also, trashing, I think giving a thoughtful 26-minute review of a film is not trashing it. I didn't care for it. I said I was disappointed. Mm-hmm. I don't think that that's trashing. And for all y'all out there who like to get on the internet and do all this aggressive shit, but then when it comes down to it, when, to say like, I need to understand there's a real person. Yeah, I know. I'm also a real person. So when you come at me and I respond, it's like, well, keep that same energy.
Right.
You were mad, girl.
A real
so
person.
Stay mad. Don't say like, now you don't want to be antagonistic and this shouldn't be public.
I don't think we've ever spoken in a way that is disparaging to suggest that we aren't talking about real people and aren't respectful of the craft.
Yeah, I'm not like just reckless with my words. Like, I'm giving my honest opinion.
But at the same time,
I am bold because I'm not afraid, and also because my livelihood doesn't depend on me getting invited to another free movie screening.
Well,
I feel like a lot of people are very they're playing a game because they're trying to build this career that relies on them like kissing everyone's ass. And fortunately, I don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And if one day I ever became big, it's going to be because people know that I say what I really think.
Will not.
And if I don't want to talk about your movie, it's because I don't want to hurt your feelings. So sometimes when people ask, because we do get emails asking to review certain things, I don't respond because it's like, well, I can tell already I'm not going to like it. And I don't want to do that. Like, you reached out to me personally, like you used our names. Hey, Nick and Joseph, do you want to? And I don't respond.
That's why if I'm friendly with somebody that is truly a friend that's involved with the production and I didn't like it, I will not say anything.
Yeah, I just wouldn't even talk about it. What's the
point? But you will not. I'm not going to be out here like Edgar Wright last night in Soho. You're not going to get me on anything. What I'm saying in print or online is what I actually feel, and that is what I back up in personal.
I said what I said.
I said what I said.
I said what I said. If you come at me and and think that you're going to intimidate me into like backtracking what I said, you're going to get your feelings hurt.
No, it's Swan Song's not.
I will tell you to your face what I did and did not like about something.
Swan Song is not a good film. It needed a much better screenplay. It needed I think the problem is it needed a bigger budget. If you like Udo Kier, you will get something out of it, or Jennifer Coolidge from what I remember, but it's not a good film.
Well, we have 2 minutes, so we have to wrap it up.
Oh, I did find a quote that I thought was fitting, considering your gripes.
Go ahead.
It's from American author Elbert Hubbard. To avoid criticism, say nothing and be nothing.
Well, that's not me. All right, bye.
Bye.